Good morning guys, this is my BMX Honda. I've been asked by my good friend Lewis Cole to do a short video. Lewis Cole of Metal Morph Customs in England. He's asked me to do a short video on how I made and constructed this Honda style BMX bike. So here we go. Most of the bike is based on Honda Wave, which is our local scooter here in Thailand. The forks, the swing arm, the front brake and the engine are all Honda Wave, and everything else has been manufactured by me. So what we'll do is start at the front of the bike and then we'll work his way down to the back, and I'll explain everything as we go along. You'll have to excuse the filming as I'm filming it on my iPad because I haven't got a GoPro and I'm not a YouTuber, so this is the first time for me. The forks are a half type of fork, which is standard on our scooters over here, and you had them on the last of the Honda Cubs in England called the Honda Dream 100. When they did away with the pressed steel forks, they went on to these half telescopic. So that's a standard wave item. The wheel is standard size, it's 17 inch, but it's a 2.5 inch wide rim now, and it takes a 180/17 tyre. Front disc 220mm standard Honda Wave 110 with a single piston hydraulic caliper, and it's got hydraulic stainless steel braided hoses all around the bike. The frame itself is 2.25 inch scaffolding tube. I do believe the side is about 3mm thick or something like that. We've fitted a steering damper, as you can see, because the bike weighs less than 100 kilograms and it's now capable of around about 110 to 115 miles an hour, which we'll talk more about later. The engine was a 125 4-speed automatic, but now it's a 4-speed manual. A lot of you will be saying, well, what's all the clear pipes you've got on the bike? Well, the breathers. You might say it's a bit overkill and it doesn't need them, but trust me, it does, because the small cub engine and these 125s have a very small crankcase, and as you know, they take less than 1 litre of oil. So every time the piston comes down and creates pressure and causes crank pressure, there's very little places for it to go. And this one here is the original crankcase breather. So now we've got one coming out the left hand side, top tappet, and cam cover the other side, because the piston is now out of a CBR 150R, and instead of doing 7,500 revs, it now maxes out at nearly 11. So it creates a lot of crankcase pressure on the underside of the piston surface area, and there's nowhere for it to go. And if you don't have these breathers, you're going to get lots of oil leaks, blown head gaskets, base barrel to block gasket leaking. It's going to blow oil out everywhere. So they might not look much and people might think you don't want them, but trust me, you do. We've got a homemade exhaust to a short generic can from China. It's quite loud. I'll run the bike up and put another video up after I've done this one, and you can see the full road test, and then you'll see just how fast it is. The handlebar mounts, you have to jimmy rig something up to fit on top of the fork stem, which is, this bolts through the fork stem, and then I've made this plate which I can put my handlebar clamps to. All the wiring is threaded through the handlebars and then goes down into the frame on the other side here. This contraption isn't always there. It's to put my phone on when I do a round the block video trip, and then it'll be taken off. It's just somewhere temporarily to hold my phone. The fuel is in the top tube. Now normally you have your fuel come out here out of a tap, but on mine the fuel is in the top tube and the seat tube, and it comes out the other side of the seat tube. The seat tube is capped off, but there's a leak on the weld here. I'll tell you about that later. The box is the battery box. You need that because obviously this one has got CDI and it won't start without a battery, unlike the early Cub engines. You must have power to the CDI unit before you can kick it over or use your electric start. But this one is manual, it's kickstart, no electric. We've gone hydraulic rear brakes, which is unusual. I do believe this master cylinder, if you like, is off of a pit bike, universal, with a hydraulic brake switch, and then it goes through the hose to this disc at the back, which matches the front disc. Same pattern, 220mm diameter. And the beauty of this is the conversion I've made, it fits on the original drum brake hub. You don't have to change the hub. The caliper is a twin pot piston because this really does seriously need some brakes to stop because of the power. And the caliper mounting bracket is off of a Kawasaki KR150, but you have to machine it down to fit. As I can't get, you can just about see where I've shaved the faces of the caliper bracket to clear the swing arm, give me my distance between swing arm and wheel, and to centre the caliper shoes on the disc where it needs to be. So there's a bit of jiggery pokery to do, but it can be done. And it's a lot better setup than drum brake because it's putting some serious power out now. It's about 45, 47 horse, where normally it's only 6.2. And as I said before, it's running nearly 11,000 RPM instead of 7,200. So, little box has got the battery in, LED rear light, shockers are just upgraded on the Wave. They obviously more adjustment on them than the standard shocker. The swing arm is an aluminium aftermarket, same length, same width as a standard Wave. And then we get to this part. This is my temporary second. It's my fuel tank, which I'm running off at the minute because on some of the welds I've got leaks. So I've literally got to strip it all down, cure the leaks, repaint all the frames. So this is only temporary. Normally on a 4-speed auto, it's 4 gears down and straight through to neutral, like on a rolling drum. So this one I've swapped some parts around in gearbox and it's now 1 down 3 up, which is same as on the Grom. And if any of you need to know how I achieve that, you can get in contact with Lewis at Metal North and he'll explain to you or put you on to me. There's a couple of gears you need to change and the selector shaft drum. Everything else is the same and you'll end up with a proper gearbox. Then one, as I say, 1 down, 3 up. Ignition switch I've buried in the back of this top engine mounting so it's out of the way. We've got red light between the bars is my neutral light. Rear running light comes on without engine running. Headlights don't come on until engine's running. Straightforward handlebar setup, manual clutch, hydraulic front brake, which has also got brake light. The clutch, when you put in that sort of power out, you've got to go to a manual clutch, because these produce that much bottom end torque. If you're still trying to run your automatic gearbox, it'll snap your crankshaft. So now it's 183cc between 45 and 48 brake horse. The clutch itself, the main clutch basket in here, I've also done another modification, because this little gadget you'll all recognise holds your clutch springs into your basket, and it's a 6 point. There's 6 springs in this 125 engine, but as you can see, the pusher plate, as it's called, has only got 3 bolts, and it's cast aluminium, and running extra strong heavier springs in the clutch, and now it's manual, these break off because it's only cast. Now I do believe there's a company in America make these, billet for a 6 bolt fixing rather than 3, but they're just over 100 quid. So I've done a modification where mine is now a 6 bolt fixing, but there's a backing steel plate goes to it, so that when it gets pressed with the bearing, the pressure is taken against the steel plate and not the individual fingers of the star plate, just to give it more rigidity and to stop these fingers from snapping off. That's about it really. If there's anything else any of you need to know, you can get in touch with Lewis, and he can either answer the questions for you, or he can put you on to me, and I'll do my best to sort things out for you. If any of you want to know about these modifications, like enlarging the engine to 180cc plus, or doing the gearbox mods or rear brake conversion, you can hit Lewis up and he'll either point you in my direction or he'll tell you what I'll ended up doing. There is another couple of engine sizes bigger than mine. Mine's a 63.5mm bore now instead of 52. The next one up is 66mm, which puts the bike on a standard stroke at 202cc. And then the 74mm bore one is nearly 280 something, I think, just under 300, and that puts out 65 brake horse. And there's a video out which I've already sent Lewis, some of you might want to see it, is the Underwave with that size engine in, overtaking a ZXR 600 at 222 kilometres an hour, and that's equivalent to 141 miles an hour. These little engines can really put the brake horse out. I've just sold my CRF 250 motard, and that was only 22 brake horse, and this little engine here is double, and it's way faster. You can hardly hold it on road because it doesn't weigh anything. That's hence the rear disc, because it needs the stopping power and it needs the steering damper. Anyway, I hope you enjoy it. I hope the video's not too bad a quality, because like I say, I'm filming it on my iPad because I've got no Home Pro and I've never done this type of thing before. So anything else you need or any pictures you need, hit Lewis up and I'll send them to him, and then you can get in touch with Lewis. Thanks for watching, guys.